Raw Attraction. Attract her with honesty. Fuck her with presence. Written by Michael S. Chapman. Narrated by Timothy G. Little.
Forward. It is not enough to conquer. One must learn to seduce. Voltaire. Pickup artistry is the ultimate form of beta communication. To live a stage play every day of your life to gain the attention of a woman is supplication to the second power. Women can smell supplication a mile away and allow it to linger as long as it fulfills her needs. Not her need to have fun on dates or have sex, but her need to talk about feelings and be provided for. A man will distinguish himself as either by his body language and subconscious vocal tells. But that's what PUA is for, right? In theory, yes, but in reality, fuck no. Research any PUA technique. It's a numbers game. The same techniques PUAs teach is taught to anyone in the sales profession. You sense a salesman when he's approaching you. Women do too, and 5 times better. What do salesmen do? They approach you with a confident charm and a charismatic personality. They attempt to be funny but cocky and reassure you that you can trust them. Are you catching what I'm pitching here? The way you feel when a car salesman approaches you is the same way she feels when your method comes oozing out of you. 1 in 100 will fall for it. They will allow you the privilege of buying them coffee and food. If you do have an awesome personality behind the suave facade, it will show itself, and that's when you will get laid or find yourself in a long-term relationship. Game doesn't do this. You do this. Game only gives you a mask to wear because you're scared. Assholes are really fucking rare, so I doubt you are one. There's no need for the mask. The game mask is only holding you back. I've been there. It sucks. I've approached a woman and been rejected with the mask on, and the rejection of the woman doesn't even compare to the anguish of self-rejection in that situation. I got lucky a few times too, but that wasn't game though. That was because we had a good time and connected. Why not cut the middleman? There is only one of you in the whole world. You are a unique asset. Stop trying to be like someone else and learn to be yourself. I promise you, your relationships not only with women will improve, but more importantly, your relationship with yourself. Chapter 1. Fuck Game. Man is never so manly as when he feels deeply, acts boldly, and expresses himself with frankness and fervor. Benjamin Disraeli. Who would have guessed that game was ruining any chances I had with women? I spent years trying to get women to notice me and failed. The second I stopped trying, stopped playing games, and was completely honest, they hit on me. Men are self-conscious to the point of self-destruction. I am a strong opponent to game. Pickup artist tactics are fundamentally flawed due to the lack of authenticity in the approach. Authentic game is the natural charm a man possesses when he is completely honest with himself and the world around him. PUA game is a systematic approach to conversation which turns men into robots. Women know when a man is using PUA game on her because normal people don't speak or act like they are the shit or have unshakable self-esteem. Game is unnecessary and does not work. Anything you do 100 times will produce a small number of positive outcomes. A telemarketer calls 1,000 people using the same systematic approach and will win a few sales. Picking up women with a faux persona is no different. Men are also convinced that when they approach a woman, they need to act and speak a certain way because it sets them apart from all the other men who have hit on her. Let's clear the air here. Women do not get hit on every day. Women are stared at, eye-fucked, and whispered about between men every day. Women actually very rarely get hit on. When they do, it's most likely a man using a PUA game or the nice guy trying to sneak through in friendship. A man who approaches women with honesty and vulnerability is a fucking unicorn. First of all, PUA is not sustainable beyond the second date. How long can you pretend to be the no fucks given, stoic, aloof, outcome independent alpha male you're pretending to be? How long will it take for her to see through your facade? These are natural attributes of men who have accomplished a certain level of personal development. Men who require the assistance of PUAs are not bad guys or frauds. Men who are asking for help approaching a woman are not flawed, just inexperienced. There is absolutely zero personal growth in pickup artistry. 100 cold approaches do not teach you anything. The immersion therapy you are putting yourself through only teaches you to be less sensitive to rejection and get over your fear of women. Fuck that. The nervousness you feel creates an authentic aura around you. We need fear to grow and push us to become stronger, not better liars. I have a secret to tell you. Women know. Women have been stared at, preyed upon, whispered about, catcalled, and approached since they were 12. A woman can look into your eyes for a second and know your confidence levels, intentions, and social status. Women read body language so well, they know if they would sleep with you within a few seconds of you walking into a room. Your approach is futile. They already know how far they're willing to go with you before you open your mouth. Do you honestly believe that there is a blanket strategy that works on over 3 billion independent personalities? Game is not real. The numbers game is real, but you're spinning your wheels. Imagine if you took all that time, energy, and money that you spend on dating advice and hundreds of cold approaches and spent it on yourself. What if instead of pretending to have the attributes of a well-rounded, emotional, stable man, you actually became one? In the following chapters, I am going to show you that authentic attraction is not the monumental task it appears to be. Why would you approach 100 women with a 1% chance of tricking a woman into sleeping with you when you could just as easily become a man that women want to sleep with? Secondly, if there is nothing in the first reason that resonates with you, you are probably only interested in casual sex with no intention of a second date. I get it. I really do. If that's your gig, cool. But you're going about it all wrong. You're hurting yourself, and here's why. Remember the movie Eurotrip, the excuse me guy on the train? You're that guy, and everybody knows you're that guy. You don't see it because it's nearly impossible to observe yourself from an outside perspective, but it oozes from you. When you sit next to anyone with an average or above average level of social intelligence, your creepy vibe dissipates the comfort level of the room. Your friends know it, your coworkers know it, and women know it. There is a dissonance between your words, apparel, personality, eyes, and body language. I'm not judging you, just telling you what no one else will. I spent about a year there. I think most guys adopt that paradigm for a season in their lives and give it up when they realize that it sucks. I went through a rough breakup. My heart got ripped out of my chest and stomped on. I was lonely, unable to validate myself, and sex is the absolute best pain reliever there is. Nothing makes a broken heart and wounded ego feel better than fucking. Nothing. But like anything that gives you dopamine levels, a boost addiction sets in and you become a freaking weirdo. Third and most important, if you have an ounce of integrity, then you are well aware that you are lying to women and treating them as if they were less than human. Women sense this. Women sense guys like that, like we can sense an asshole in the room. If you want a sex doll, get a sex doll. There's nothing wrong with that. Were you hurt by a woman or women and want revenge? What's the malfunction? Seriously, I think you would have to have a personality disorder to internally rationalize the behavior perpetuated by the PUA community. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and guess that you're an awesome guy, just fucking terrified of women. That's okay, bro. It's a good thing. It's definitely something you need to get over, but that's only achieved through self-acceptance. Your nervousness with women is what makes you real to women. I will bet you anything that you would have just as much success with women, if not more, if you adopted honesty as your game. If you reflect on any time that you used game to get a woman, you would see that there were underlying factors. Maybe you had a good day and your mojo was legit. Maybe she went home with you because she saw the real you show himself. Game is not real. Game is manipulation. Manipulation is the most unmasculine trait that a man can have. Women are master manipulators. They have the playbook and a lot more practice than you. They see it coming and adjust their tactics. Men are straight shooters. Leave the games to the chicks. Take your masculinity seriously. Be a stand-up guy who values himself as well as others. It's hilarious when I hear my female friends talk about this stuff. Men completely underestimate how aware women are of our tactics. They know our intentions by our energy and tones. Sometimes it's cute and they appreciate the effort, but most of the time they are just making fun of guys who use game inside their heads. PUAs are right. Science has found a way to hack the human subconscious. So have con men and marketing directors. Women know their natural disposition to be attracted to alpha males, and dominance has been hacked. If I see a billboard for pizza, I will want pizza because I love pizza. The thing is, I know that the billboard knows I love pizza, so it doesn't make me automatically go and buy pizza. Is body language important in catching our eye? Definitely. The issues arise when it's forced. Forced alpha posturing is comical to women. A man who sits at a bar taking up twice the space he needs is unapproachable. By all means, keep your posture in check and hands away from your chest. This shows that you are comfortable with your surroundings and yourself. It is unnatural to go any further. Men do not naturally assume the physical position of a grizzly bear. The only rule of body language you need to remember to be approachable is to relax. Sit, stand, or walk the way you would if you were in a room alone with your two closest friends. That is the natural state of your physical being. It's almost ridiculous how stupid men who run game think women are. Women can play along with anything for a long time. She can make you believe that she believes your bullshit persona is real, and she will. It is a defensive mechanism that she has perfected to protect herself. If she's creeped out or intimidated, she will play it safe by going along with your charade until she has room to run. Actual bitches are rare, so chances are she's a good person, and she will play your game to spare your feelings. If you are approaching her with honesty, relinquishing control of the conversation to the natural flow of communication, and not underestimating her intelligence, there is no need for her to pretend anything. Men lead, but there is a difference between leading and pulling. Leading is like saying, I'm going this way, and giving her space to follow or not follow. Pulling is, I'm going this way, you know you want to go. If you don't go, you're a bitch. I'm holding eye contact for 3 straight seconds with a dominant posture and have an acronym system to never run out of things to say because it's hard to keep up this cool guy, no fucks given personality I really don't have. And BTW, I'm addicted to porn. I haven't been laid in 6 months, so I will do anything and say anything to make you like me. This is not how seduction works. Seduction is understanding that women love men. Women want to be approached and women want to have sex. She does not need to be persuaded or convinced of anything. A man who attempts to convince a woman of something she already knows is demonstrating his ignorance of women to her. He is also demonstrating a need to control her, which displays his emotional insecurities and low self-worth. Whether you are approaching a woman for the first time, going in for the first kiss, or in the middle of a sexual tryst, trying to control the situation will create resistance and fuck it up. Leading a woman to the bedroom is sexy. Pulling her into the bedroom is needy. Chapter 2. The Mental Switch. We think of confidence as excluding vulnerability, when in fact the foundation of true confidence is our ability to be real and vulnerable. The Good Men Project. Have you ever watched TV at 2 a.m. and flipped through channel after channel of gurus selling a system that is guaranteed to get results? They show the couple sitting on their patio at their beachfront home, swearing up and down the foreclosed home selling system they bought for $97.97 netted them enough money in a year to retire early. Look up dating advice on the internet, and you find the exact same advertising concept used by pickup artist extraordinaires. They promise you a foolproof system to get any woman's clothes off and keep her hooked. They claim to have hacked the biology of the female brain and figured out how to override her subconscious defense mechanisms. Ask any couple how they met, and I promise not a single one will tell you the guy blew her clothes off with an immaculate approach. Ask anyone who had a one-night stand or a friend with benefits relationship how they ended up in bed. Every one of them will tell you, we were having a good time and it just happens. Attraction and sex are natural and happen organically. In my late teens and early 20s, I was a lonely guy. My sex life was pretty much non-existent. My buddies didn't have this problem. I internalized my dating woes by blaming my height, crooked teeth, and shyness. I mean, they didn't even try. I would buy women drinks, listen to them babble for hours, and at the end of the night, they would just leave without saying a word. My female friends would tell me I was hot and sweet, followed by the dagger of all compliments. You're such a nice guy. What I didn't realize is that game was kryptonite, and my nice guy persona was a transparent cover-up. I would sit or stand in unnatural positions, come up with the best line I could think of, and pretend not to be scared as shit the whole time. Women weren't rude or demeaning to me, just completely disinterested. Life has a funny way of working out sometimes. In one weekend, my life changed so drastically, it took me months to catch up mentally. I not only unraveled the mystery of authentic game, but found the courage to go after everything else I wanted in life. Over the course of 4 days, I had such a profound mindset shift that I saw women and sex as abundant, was happy with who I was as a man, and joined the army, which was a dream I'd had since childhood, but was too scared to do. My transformation from a game-yielding nice guy to a straight-shooting authentic guy happened almost overnight. In an attempt to be a cooler, more attractive guy, I decided to learn to surf. A few of my buddies surfed, and women drooled over them. So, of course, I figured if I wanted women to be attracted to me, I needed to become a surfer. I went to the beach every day and taught myself to catch waves. After a month, I was good enough to look like I knew what I was doing and started trying more advanced moves. I watched an instructional video the night before and was excited to get to the beach the next day. After work, I drove straight to the shore and ran into the water. I found the zone. I was owning it, riding like I never had before, and it felt great. It wasn't about impressing women anymore. It was about having fun. 2 ladies were sunbathing at the edge of the water, and I realized they were watching me. I felt good. I was having fun and had an attractive audience. The real waves were about 50 yards out, so I paddled beyond the surf and sat on my board. I knew the ladies were watching, and I had every intention of giving them a show. I let a few medium-sized waves pass and paddled towards shore ahead of a monster wave. Flawlessly, I stood up as it lifted me about 8 feet and rode it like a champ. In the state of awesomeness I was in, I lost concentration and fell forward in the shallow surf. It happened too fast for me to catch myself, and I fell into the 2-foot deep water. The impact bent me in half, dislocating my shoulder and breaking my rib. I somersaulted a few times as the water receded and wound up in the fetal position on the sand, suffocating as another wave washed over me, filling my throat with water. It's almost impossible to describe the pain of hacking water with a broken rib.
The two women ran towards me as I crawled to dry land. I wasn't crying, but I had tears and snot running down my face. I was in too much pain to give a shit what anyone thought, and in an effort to find a speck of positivity in the moment and relief from the pain, I jokingly said, "Did I look cool?" She replied, "No," shaking her head and laughing at me. The way she looked at me in the eyes was overly flirtatious. She looked at me like I had never been looked at by a woman before. She carried my board to my truck for me and helped me in the driver's seat, pleading with me to let her drive me to the hospital. I was okay to drive and expressed my embarrassment over the situation in a comical delirium. The more I joked, the deeper she looked into my eyes and the wider she smiled. Closing my door, she leaned in the window nervously and said in the most adorable way, "I hope to see you again." I smiled back. I had no idea what to say or how to respond. I drove away in agony, trying to steer and shift gears, but I couldn't stop looking at her through the rearview mirror. I never saw her again, and I'm glad. The moment was perfect. The hospital was about a 10-minute drive through the city from the beach, and I had to breathe so shallow to avoid the pain, I was dizzy by the time I arrived. Barefoot in a wetsuit, I walked through the parking garage into the emergency room entrance with the stride of a zombie, bent sideways in a contorted posture to keep pressure off my rib. After checking in, I was handed a white robe and instructed to change in the restroom. I stood in the ER waiting room with my back against the wall to hide my naked ass for about an hour before I was called in. I knew the nurse from high school, and she was thoroughly entertained by the story. Things were getting weird because the more I joked and didn't try to hide the fact that I was in ridiculous amounts of pain, the more she flirted with me and even admitted that she had a crush on me in high school. I asked why she hadn't approached me. She said, "You thought you were a Mac daddy and it was weird." I had no idea she was into me. If I did, I probably would have blown it by supplicating or trying to Mac on her. My high school fake-ass Mac Daddy game fucked up that one. I drove home that night, whimpered my way up the steps, and immediately threw 2 painkillers into my mouth. I called in sick for work the next day and received a thorough ass chewing from my boss. It was Friday. We had a project that needed to be wrapped up that day, but there was no way I could climb ladders with a tool bag in my condition. I couldn't lay down, so I was stuck sitting straight up on the couch all day. Convinced I would be fired, I casually browsed through the ads on Craigslist and played on Facebook. I posted what had happened to me, telling the story in the most comical way I could. I was good at that. I was always the class clown and had a knack for making people laugh. At least my fake persona was good for something. The jokes rolled in, as did the messages. My friends roasted me for breaking a bone on water, and I completely agreed with them. I felt ridiculous, but I didn't take the jokes to heart. I fully expected my friends to entertain themselves at my expense, but what I didn't expect was the messages from 2 women. They were longtime friends I hung out with at barbecues or pubs. They sincerely cared how I was feeling and left hearts with XOXO in the messages. I shrugged it off as kindness, which I'm sure they were, but one of them, from Sabrina, was actually flirty. Sabrina was a little haughty, and I had a crazy crush on her. I was beginning to suspect something at this point. I was in my least coolest moment ever, and I had been hit on by 2 women the day before and messaged by 2 more today, asking if I needed help cooking or cleaning. I had always kept my small apartment super clean in case a woman showed up. I had always dressed to impress, even at work, because first impressions never die. I had always been uptight around women because I wanted to come off as mysteriously indifferent. I was always prepared to meet women and seduce a woman, but never actually did. My apartment was a mess. I looked like the living dead, and I felt shitty to be around anymore. I was beginning to realize what was going on. I didn't understand it, but I felt really confused about myself. Embarrassed for breaking a bone on water, but more so by realizing that I was the weird guy running game. The next day I lounged around the house until people started showing up. My apartment was the pre-party spot, and I totally forgot we had planned to go downtown that Saturday. I looked like shit, smelled like swamp water, and was flying on hydrocodone. The jokes were never ending. The laughter had neighbors banging on the walls, and I owned my pathetic state. Sabrina and another chick were pinching their noses and pushing me towards my bedroom to shower and change. I did everything I could to stay home that night, but if I didn't voluntarily go, I would be carried. I showered without shaving and threw on a white t-shirt, Levi's, and tennis shoes, a far cry from my signature button-up, Ralph Lauren denim, and leather shoes. I forgot to take a dose of painkillers before we left, so an hour into the night, I felt like Mike Tyson had me against the ropes, chopping me down with body shots. By midnight, I was tipsy but not drunk, and so was Sabrina. We had been casual friends for about 6 months. I asked her out when we first met, she politely declined, and we hung out platonically a few times since then. I was leaning against a pub table because it was too painful to sit down. She approached me with a sympathetic smile, asking, "How are you feeling?" and ran her fingers down my ribs gently. "Amazing," I obviously joked. She asked if she could get me a drink. I said sure, reaching for my wallet, but she turned around before I could get it. She had the kind of ass that makes you bite your bottom lip without knowing it. I realized I was biting my bottom lip when she looked at me from the bar and caught me. I grimaced a little, embarrassed but not apologetically. We caught eyes and smiled playfully. She walked back towards me with a drink in a shy but sexy strut. She knew I was watching, which made her a little self-conscious, so her hips moved with purpose. We laughed and flirted until last call. I looked around for my friends, but they had mostly left. I asked her if she wanted to share a cab, but she had only drunk 2 beers that night and offered to drive me home. I made a funny sound every time she hit her brakes or a speed bump because it hurt. She apologized sincerely, but with a hint of comical sadism. She parked on the curb, opened my door, and helped me get out of the car. I didn't need help. It wasn't that bad, but who was I to refuse the hand of a beautiful woman? I stood up, we caught eyes, and kissed. It just happened. No strategy or planning. We had sex that night and several other nights. Friends with Benefits was formed. She was a single mom who worked full-time and went to school, so had no interest in dating. We're still friends years later, and I asked her about that night. I asked her why that night was different from 6 months before. She said I was always so uptight, and that night I was just myself. Chapter 3. Women love men who love women. We are all born sexual creatures, thank God, but it's a pity so many people despise and crush this natural gift. Marilyn Monroe. For the record, I am a red-pilled men's rights MGTOW supporter. I believe feminism hurts everyone, especially women, and do not give a shit about a woman's opinion in regard to masculinity. Every hetero woman I know loves men who act like men. Don't believe that women want you to become feminine. Maintain polarity by embracing your masculinity and giving her the space to embrace her femininity. When I say to love women, I am not saying to put a pink pussy hat on and march with them. Don't get me started on those guys. I am a son, brother, and dad. I'm all for empowering women, but I don't think of them as disadvantaged. I have been in the gutter a few times, and it has always been women who came to help. I love women because they are amazing and inspire me to be amazing. Understand hypergamy. Kill the nice guy inside you, but understand that women do not do what they do out of spite. By love all women, I mean love all women for whom they are, as they are. If men can do anything to benefit themselves and women, it would be to completely destroy the Madonna whore complex we've adopted. The MHC is the inability of men to accept that women are just as sexual as we are. This includes all women. If a woman's explicit sexual desires threaten you, then you have MHC. Women by nature have the right to be as sexually free as we are. We as men place women in a dichotomy. They are either prudes or sluts. We create an imagery value scale based on a woman's sexual experience. Basically, women who express their sexuality and indulge their desires are sluts and are not capable of a committed relationship. I personally do not believe that men as a whole discriminate against women in the workplace or politics. We do, however, shame women sexually to increase our own internal value. If a woman is more sexually experienced than you, it can be intimidating. Why? Because your ego and dick are BFFs. Your ego cannot handle the fact that you might not be the biggest and best dick she's ever had. Women are rarely honest about their intimate repertoire because men will either shame them or treat them like disposable sex dolls. Game is a system of convincing women to fuck by integrating the surface level aspects of a non-MHC man into an MHC man's acting personality. If this front is displayed successfully, the woman can be deceived. Women typically get burnt this way because the man who convinced her that it was safe to be sexually open does not have the testicular fortitude to actually fuck on her level and degrades her to save his own ego. Can you imagine a porn star being a loving wife and a dedicated parent? Many are, and even more sexually inhibited women are shitty partners and moms. A non-MHC man allows a woman to be free in this way and does not have to deceive her. Women love men who love women. Men who love women do not judge women by archaic societal standards. Men who love women hold them to the same standards they hold men to. This means showing them earned respect, as well as calling her out on bullshit. You know the saying, women love assholes? This is another construct of a man's inability to come to terms with his own self-worth. The shame in this scenario falls on the man. If a man feels shame in regard to sex or his individual sexual desire, the same dichotomy will be placed on men. This is the nice guy, bad boy dilemma. The asshole or bad boy is not ashamed of his sexuality and expresses it freely. This creates an open space for women to do the same. In a universe of judgmental nice guys, the indiscriminate sexuality of the asshole creates a vacuum of sex. It's that simple. The asshole is actually nicer than the nice guy, and women have the societal intelligence to recognize this. Would you, as an average man, prefer to date a gold digger or a down-to-earth chick who doesn't care about your financial portfolio? If you're going to judge, remember to hold yourself accountable to the same terms. I'm not saying this for the benefit of women. I'm saying this for the benefit of you. The man who has this mindset is attractive to women. It's rare. Chapter 4. Be emotionally stable. The key to success is emotional stability. Warren Buffett. I asked 50 women a question. What is the most attractive attribute that a man can have? Over half of them, without a second thought, said they are easygoing, and a quarter of them said confidence. I dug a little deeper to figure out what they meant. Things can get lost in translation between the sexes. My idea of an easygoing guy is somewhat flaccid. It's a good thing I asked because I was off the mark. I came to this conclusion because men judge each other differently than women do. We do not see other men on an emotional level. We see them more as teammates. If you are my teammate, have my six, or we have a common goal, I personally value your ability to stay focused and carry your weight above all else. Women see men from an emotional place because they are more concerned with our ability to be an intimate partner. To a woman, easygoing means to not get caught up in emotions, to let things go quickly, and to have a sense of humor. I honestly never thought about that, but it makes a lot of sense. The relationships women have with themselves and another woman are often tumultuous and emotional. Women do not only internalize perceived slights, but harbor resentment towards the perpetrator, sometimes indefinitely. Any man who has crossed a woman knows this. Men typically resolve a disagreement to the best of their abilities and move on. Men are friends today with a man they hated at one time. Women who hated each other in the 3rd grade probably still do. If a man is grounded and has the ability to remain grounded through her storm, he will win her attraction. This is an inevitable concept in long-term relationships. It also clears up the shit test enigma in new ones. If this is the trait that women love the most about men, it only makes sense that they would throw any man who approaches them a curveball. If he can't handle a little attitude or rejection, he's not par for the course. Women find this trait attractive in men, but that does not mean all men possess it. By nature, men compartmentalize their feelings and have the ability to be easygoing. What these women were referring to is the textbook definition of confidence. Confidence is basically the trust in oneself to handle anything that comes their way. This concept gave me a philosophical hard-on. The majority of dating advice available to men has preached confidence for decades. Men have had the unrealistic idea that women love confidence shoved down their throats for so long they're sick of it. What is the mainstream idea of a confident man? The alpha male? The strong, rich, cocky dude? When women say the word confidence, are they talking about the same thing? No, they are not. What a woman identifies as confidence is a man who doesn't sweat the small stuff and laughs petty shit off. Confidence to a woman is to make lemonade when life gives you lemons. She doesn't need a savior when times get hard. She needs a man who can lighten the mood and assure her he's strong enough to handle hers. What about the strong, rich, cocky dude? That's for you. Anything you do in regard to self-development should be for you. If you do anything for her that pills your self-worth, then it's worthless in her eyes. The confidence you have in yourself to succeed must be independent of her to be deemed valuable by her. The thing she loves the most about you is something you already have. Be honest with yourself. When she shit tests you, do you crumble? Do your feelings get hurt easily? Do you internalize everything? This stuff is too easy. Relax. You might be covering up the most attractive thing about you to women by being high-strung. Breathe, relax, and let shit go. No financial obligation or gym membership needed. Chapter 5. The Art of Not Giving a Woman What She Wants. A woman will not be grateful at all for those submissive behaviors. She'll actually treat you like dirt if you display those behaviors. Anonymous. I met my dad when I was 12. My mom sent me to Denver for 2 weeks to spend time with my biological grandparents on his side, and he happened to show up. He was a bum, had no intentions of being part of my life, but they made him take me out a few times. He acted more like a cool uncle than a dad. I drove his truck through the mountains all afternoon while he slammed a 12-pack. Shit. At that age, what boy wouldn't want to do that? He took me to a casino he worked as a chef. I played penny slots and wandered around the joint for 8 hours. I snuck into the kitchen to watch him work, and he was making a salad that looked like flowers. The salad was rad. He cut the vegetables into a bouquet. I asked him if he could teach me how to do it, so the next night he came to my grandparents' house with a bag of groceries, and we sat at the table making salad bouquets. As we were walking to the truck from his workplace that night, I watched him approach a lady in the parking lot. He was a bum, but definitely had a swagger about him. He had greasy long hair and wore dirty laundry, but she was more than pleased with his approach. The second he saw her, he made eye contact with her and held it while walking the 15 feet to her car. He introduced himself with a laugh in his voice and asked her if she was going to be there for a while. She said she was meeting friends for dinner, and he replied, "Too bad I'm off. I would love to cook for you." Looking back, he had her in the palm of his hand. The conversation ended like this. Him. "Your place tomorrow night?" Her. "I'm working." Him. "Then my place, 8 o'clock. Her. Okay. Him. Have a great night. Handing her a piece of paper that probably had his address or number on it. He walked off and I watched her leave, looking back a few times. In my mind at the time, it was just adults making a date. But looking back, it was his authentic game. He had it. He was a prolific womanizer, always was and always will be. The following evening at my grandparents' kitchen table, I studied him with a small carving knife in my hand, imitating the cuts he made in carrots and radishes to give them flower shapes. I asked him, "Are you going to see that girl tonight?" "Yeah, I got to take off soon." "How come she said she was working when you said to meet her at her place, but wasn't working when you said to meet her at yours?" He responded, "She probably has a boyfriend." "So she's a cheater?" He replied, "Probably bored." "What do you mean?" He looked at me in the eyes, still cutting vegetables like Mr. Miyagi, and said, "Give a woman everything she wants, but never how she wants it." It flew over my head but stuck with me. I knew how badly he'd hurt my mom, and was well aware he didn't give a shit about being a father. So I naturally rebelled against him by being nice to women. Like most of us until my early 20s, I was the nice guy that couldn't get a girlfriend but had a bunch of women who were just friends. The nice guys give women everything they want, how they want, the way they want it. These are the guys waiting at home tomorrow night while their chick is relieving her boredom. Get it now. Being pandered to by a man is great for a while, but then it just gets boring. Emotional stagnation takes place, then sexual tension, which is the lifeblood of an intimate relationship, is impossible to build. I still rebel against him by being honest with women if I have multiple partners and have no interest in married women. To give a woman everything she wants, but not the way she wants it, can be a balancing act. She wants to go out? You choose the time and place, but she can only choose one. Never ask her, tell her, your place, not your place. If you're late for dinner at her parents' house, come with a gift. Don't mention the gift, just give it to her with a kiss and talk about dinner or her hair. She may want a full-blown apology. Don't give her anything the way she wants it. She wants an apology, so give it to her on your terms. Unless you completely fuck it up or act like a total asshole, respect her as a person that you have wronged and caused pain to. Sincerely apologize until she looks you in the eyes and smiles. If she's being a bitch, don't give her anything. This is not game or manipulation. Women want this, but only if it's done right. It's like a roller coaster ride. You get to feel the twists and turns, but you're completely safe. If you are a grounded man and understand this polarity, this is already a natural state of being for you. It's scary to cause tension in your relationship sometimes. Most guys are generous, and it feels good to give your woman what she wants because you love her and want to make her happy. I get it. It seems like common sense to keep the waters calm and not rock the boat. Men seek adventure physically and peace mentally. Women seek adventure mentally and peace physically. Women are by all means our polar opposites. Logic does not apply in matters of seduction or romance. Chapter 6. Seduction is effortless. Those who flow as life flows know they need no other force. Lao Tzu. Anything worth having in life requires effort. Success, a long-term relationship, and the best version of you require sacrifice and perseverance. Seduction and romance, however, are not places or things, but energy. If you have engaged in any sport that requires riding a board or wheels, you know what it feels to glide. You probably know what it feels like to get rigid and fuck yourself up too. I went snowboarding with an ex years ago in Northern California. She was an experienced boarder and I was a virgin to snow. I figured my years of mountain biking and surfing would provide me with the maneuverability and technical skills needed to confidently navigate a simple slope. Holy shit, was I wrong. First off, mountain bikes have brakes, and if you need to save your ass, you can always just jump off the bike. Secondly, falling off a surfboard is kind of fun. You fall into water and your board is only a 6-foot ankle strap away. When you fall on a snowboard, your feet are mechanically strapped in and you fall on rock-hard ice. After 3 hours on the hill, I gave up. My ass hurt, my wrists were sprained, and the kids doing 360s off ramps had me feeling like a punk. Fuck this, I thought. She could stay up there as long as she wanted. I'd be in the hot tub if she needed me. I was laying on my back, surrendering to the evil ice. It looked so soft and pretty. I don't understand how it could hurt so fucking much to fall on it. I'm 5'8". That is not enough distance to reach any kind of velocity, but every time I hit the ground, it felt like concrete. She condescendingly circled me on her board like the Silver Surfer. Looking down at me, arms crossed with a crooked smile, she asked if I was okay. I lifted my goggles and groaned like a whiny bitch. She said, "You just need to loosen up. Stop trying to control it." I didn't feel like writing anymore. It hurt too much and I was hungry, so I told her I was going to grab some lunch. She helped me up and kissed me bye. She was dying to hit the advanced slopes, so she was fine with it. I watched her ride almost sideways across the hill towards the lift, and what she said clicked in my mind. She was just going with it. Her arms were loose and her body let the board slide. She leaned into turns and the board followed. It was really no different than taking a turn on a bike trail or riding a wave. I was trying too hard. I was fighting the natural flow and momentum of the board. I was causing friction because I had to be in control. I gave it a shot on my way down the hill. I just let go and went with it. About halfway down, I was zigzagging, jumping mounds, and sliding to a stop without losing my balance. It was so much fun, I caught the lift back up and didn't leave the slopes until they closed. It felt amazing. The adrenaline distracted me from the pain, and I had a great time. Seduction is not a ladder or an uphill battle. Seduction is a slide. It only works if you let nature take its course. There is growth in resistance, and men strive on challenge. Weightlifting, building things, and overcoming limiting beliefs requires force. Seduction is not about exerting force or control. Seduction is about a flow of energy. Trying to convince, manipulate, or in any way control the flow of seduction creates resistance. Game is a form of control and therefore creates resistance to seduction. When you approach a woman with honesty and a healthy amount of natural nervousness, there is no thinking involved. Any form of pretending creates resistance because you are calculating your next move and hers. You are, in essence, trying to control her response to you by setting her up like a defendant being cross-examined in court. Your posture and breathing at that point become rigid and unnatural. How do you maneuver gracefully through the interaction if you can't go with the flow? Chapter 7. The Approach and First Date. The resistance of a woman to a man's advances is not always a sign of virtue. Sometimes it's just a sign of experience. Ninon de Lencos. Women are creeped out when you try to sneak in. If you do not show your intent to ask her out or spend time with her on a romantic level in the first minute you meet her, you're in a losing situation. The nice guy routine does not work. Honesty is the absolute best way to go about approaching women. This is old school advice, but it is the undisputed champion of pickup lines. You see a woman that immediately catches your attention and your balls say go and talk to her. Your mind says, she's talking to someone else, it would be awkward. Or, she's buried in a book and looks like she wants to be left alone. That's your opening line. Excuse me, hi. You were so lost in your book, I didn't want to break your concentration, but I wanted to introduce myself. Extend your hand and introduce yourself. Michael. There will never be a perfect time to approach a woman. You will never say the perfect line, and your brain will always have an excuse not to. This is why complete honesty is all you need to approach women. It's okay to be nervous. It would be creepy if you weren't. The fact that you are nervous is what shows that you have the balls to approach her and are actually interested in her. Guys playing the number game become desensitized to the energy that creates the connection. They lose it. They also come across as rehearsed, which tells a woman he's not interested in her individually. He'll settle for any yes he can get. This lowers his value from potential suitor to possible friendzone guy at best. You perceive your nervousness to be a sign of weakness. She does not. Whether or not she agrees to go out with you, she will leave the interaction with respect for you. If you completely drop the ball and stumble over your words, laugh it off. Be honest. I want to ask you out, but I'm stuttering my ass off. I have a friend who stutters and says this. It's honest, confident, and relieves the tension of the approach. Why do we as men feel the need to complicate this? It's so easy. There's no games, nothing to remember, no systems, no bullshit, and it's free. Connection, attraction, sex, love. They're all free. There's no gimmicks or step-by-step systems. Be a man, act like a man. Nothing should be more important to a man than his integrity. Approach every situation and every person in life with complete honesty and relax. If she accepts your invitation, then you're off on the right foot. There were no lies or games involved, so you can easily navigate the conversation and just be yourself. She can too. She is half of this equation and just as nervous as you are. Get her number and text her that night. Yes, I said it. Text her that night and make a date. It is rude as fuck to approach a woman and then text her 3 days later. Seriously, waiting 3 days to call her is fucking stupid. I get that you're trying to give her the impression that you're busy and valuable, but who the fuck is so busy they can't text for 3 days? It also allows the jitters in her stomach to dissipate. She knows you waited on purpose and sees through your con. Not to mention, if she has a life, you'll be ancient history. Invite her somewhere that you want to go. Don't ask her opinion. Lead her into your space. The only rules for conversation are be honest and relax. No judgments, no complaining, and be yourself. You are interested in her on a romantic level. Don't get skittish and slide into the friend zone foxhole. Flirt with her. Compliment her outfit and sense of humor. Ask her about herself. Listen to the answers without plotting a specific conversational course. Don't talk about yourself unless she asks, and keep the answers lighthearted. Don't lie or act mysterious, but leave room for future conversations. Most importantly, have fun. No woman ever left a date and complained to her girlfriends about a guy who was too fun. She already respects you for being vulnerable and courageous. Now you're fun and laid back. End the night with a walk. Give her room to breathe or wrap her arm around yours if she wants to. If there's chemistry, you'll know. If she wants to be kissed, you'll know. When you allow a woman into your space without games or manipulation, there's no guesswork. You're nervous because you're attracted to her. It's a compliment, and she'll take it as such. When you part ways, be present in the moment. She will look at what she wants. If you're saying bye and she's looking at your lips, extend your hand to her. Guide her closer to you with an obvious intent to kiss her. Her eyes should tell you everything you need to know. Regardless of what happens, be okay with it and smile. There is no such thing as a successful first date. You're just getting to know each other. If you feel a sex vibe, flirt harder and go with it. If she feels the same way, she'll flirt back or shit test you. If she doesn't, she'll back off. Couples have been hooking up the same way since humans evolved into a species capable of language. Just be people. She's a chick, you're a dude. Let nature take its course. Courting a woman with an open and honest mindset allows the relationship or rendezvous to evolve organically. Don't fuck it up with game. Chapter 8.
Enjoy her during sex. The way a man penetrates the world should be the same way he penetrates his woman, not merely for personal gain or pleasure, but to magnify love, openness, and depth. David Dieta. It's not the size of the wand, it's the wonder of the wizard, unless she has a thing for big dicks. If she has a thing for big dicks and you're packing standard issue, deal with it. Women deal with more body shaming by lunch than we will ever, so let her have her thing and move on. If you won the genetic dick lottery and have to turn around slowly so centrifugal force doesn't grand slam passerbys, kudos to your anaconda. My buddy in the army had a 10-inch dick. He never got fucking laid, so remember, the grass is always greener. I am a half a foot and have no issues making my women come. Insert $100 bill joke here. I don't fill her, stretch her, or overwhelm her. I vibe with her. The majority of women do not give a shit about your cock stats, as long as you fuck like you've been there before. Just in case you don't get this analogy, when a football player scores a touchdown and gets too excited, he's acting like he's never been in the end zone before. Acting like you've been there before is easier said than done if you're inexperienced. If you are, that's cool. You've probably been more focused on success and procuring a stable future for yourself and future family than running a bullshit game on targets at bars. Game doesn't help when you're balls deep and she's hoping you're a Minuteman so she can forget you ever happened. You can pretend to be a stud in conversation, but you can't pretend to have good sex. Good sex is not a flawless technique. Good sex is a vibe. The first thing that comes to mind when you think about sex is pussy. Pussy is amazing, but it should be the last thing on your mind. If that's really all you want from her, then you're in a bad place, my man. I know and you know that's kind of pathetic, and we both know your internet browsing history would ruin your life. I fast forward through the dialogue too, but in real life with a real woman, that shit don't fly. Taking the time to enjoy sex, enjoy her and everything she has to offer is the only real path to her shaking thighs, death gripping your hips. Women seem complicated to men, but what do intelligent, virile Homo sapiens do when confronted with a complicated situation? They reverse engineer that shit until it makes sense. I don't have sex tips or a how-to guide to make a woman come. You don't need one, just like you don't need game to ask a woman out. Be yourself, do what feels good, and by all means take your time and enjoy her. What I do have is my own personal experience. Don't try to copy it or fuck like me. That's weird. I'm just giving you an idea of what it's like to have a sensual experience with a woman as an average man with an average dick. The very first step to having amazing sex is to be a man that is capable of having amazing sex. Can you hold yourself up and thrust your hips into her strong enough or long enough for her to get into a groove? Can you nail her on the wall like a masterpiece, but have the balance to keep her back from banging against it? Do you drip sweat on her? Bro, when chicks sweat, they glisten. When men sweat, they puddle. I'm not saying you have to be in great shape to have sex. You do, however, have to be in good enough shape to lift you, her, and not hyperventilate. There are countless benefits to being in shape, but the benefit of better sex is definitely a motivator. I didn't realize this until I actually got myself in shape. I didn't have a six-pack or pythons. What I did get was a rock-hard dick, relentless thrust, and the stamina to not only fuck her well, but put her to sleep. Check your diet and keep a simple workout routine. It's not hard. Her body is a wonderland. Have fun. If sex makes you nervous, then you're rushing it. Relax. Every woman is different, and no woman expects you to know what she likes immediately. It's actually weird if you pretend you do. That Rico Suave shit is played out and kind of creepy. I was in a long-term relationship with a woman who came instantly if I pulled her nipples and told her to come on my dick. My girlfriend before that would have killed me in my sleep if I touched her tits. There is not a how-to guide for a woman's body.
Women are not the same. Explore her. Remember, we are reverse engineering this shit, so unless she intentionally puts a part of you between her legs, don't go there. A woman's body is a person's body. There are feelings, memories, emotions, victories, defeats, preferences, taste, fetishes, kinks, and inhibitions within it. She is not a target or a prize to be won. She is a human being and deserves not only to be treated as such, but fucked like such. Touch and taste everything. Smell her skin, taste it, feel it, inhale her energy. Enjoy her because she's amazing and a blessing to you. A woman is penetrated by a man. That is a vulnerable place to be, so always be aware of her hesitations. If she hesitates at all, back up and slow down. No means no by all means, but she's not saying stop altogether by moving your hand or lips somewhere else. She's saying you're moving too fast. Women are patient with men. They know how we lose our senses when the blood rushes to the little head, so respect her for understanding that. Listen to her breath and pay attention. If you kiss her collarbone and she breathes through her teeth, she's saying yes. Yes does not mean fuck me. Yes means keep teasing me. Until her hips are thrusting or she puts any part of you between her legs, don't go there. Enjoy her and let her enjoy you. Sex is supposed to be fun. Don't ruin it by rushing her. That's how you come too quick, and if you come too quick, you fucked up. We'll get into that later. If you rush her, she won't be able to fully enjoy you. She wants to enjoy you. Some women like it rough and want to be fucked. You know because she pushes against you with force and tries to take control. Don't let her. Always be in charge. She's upping the intensity so you will. If you are not aggressive or confident enough to handle that kind of sex or a woman who desires it, check yourself. A strong man is not aggressive by default, but should possess the ability to be. The absolute, integral, most important thing a man must do to please a woman sexually is be present. You might be physically there, but where is your mind? Is it obsessing on coming too quick or thinking about who she's been with before? Be in the moment with her like you're saying your fucking vows on your wedding day, even if it's only a hookup. If you are not experiencing her with all 5 senses, hoping the night never ends, she knows. She not only knows, but she left too. Do you want your woman to think about the guy at work who cares enough to actually be present, or her shopping list? Get your head in the game. Women take a huge risk anytime they sleep with someone new. Guys can fuck whoever, whenever, without physical or social consequences. It doesn't work like that for her because of MHC. Let her know you're there. Mind, body, and spirit. Nothing exists but her in this moment. You're having sex. Why would your mind be anywhere else? A woman's anatomy has so many erogenous zones, you will be married 20 years and find a new one your second honeymoon on Waikiki. Some will be constant, but some will change with moments, locales, and moods. The woman that liked her nipples pulled in bed didn't enjoy being spanked, unless we were in public. The woman I dated before her, whose nipples were too sensitive to touch during sex, asked me to if we were watching porn. The woman who liked spankings in public and nipple pulling in private hated porn. On the surface level, this seems confusing and probably frustrating, but it's the fun part. Experimentation is the point. Fuck the orgasm. Why would you want it to end? Take the time to experiment. Kiss her, lick her, and bite a little. Seriously, kiss her everywhere. Lay on her stomach and lick her from her feet to her ear. If she giggles, massage her. If she moans, don't stop. If she puts her ass in the air and bites the pillow, tease the shit out of her. Being in the moment, having the physical stamina to hold yourself up, and enjoying her whole body is all you need to give both you and her an amazing experience. Chapter 9. She Don't Want No Minute Man. I don't mean to sound sleazy, but tease me. I don't want it if it's that easy. Tupac Shakur. Guys who have been there before touch a woman confidently with intent. The end zone isn't new to them, so they enjoy the scenery getting there. Foreplay is not a pregame show. The pregame show is who you show up as. Foreplay should be the first half and continue simultaneously through the sexual experience, especially if your dick has a touchy trigger. Premature ejaculation can fuck you up mentally even if she doesn't mind quickies. PE is predominantly caused by performance anxiety. This is why foreplay is so important. When you're exploring her body or going down on her, breathe slow, deep breaths, relax your muscles, and slow your heart rate. Take the time to feel the energy that is built up in your body. You are horny, nervous, and excited all at the same time. This energy is what makes you so sensitive. It builds up in your balls like a balloon, and anything touching the tip of your dick is like a needle popping that balloon. The age-old advice of thinking about baseball definitely works in a pinch, but she will feel you mentally leave. Remember, if you mentally leave, so does she. Staying in the moment but controlling your dick with breaths is the absolute best way to last longer. It takes practice, so do it when you masturbate. The energy inside of you feels like it's circulating through your muscles. Close your eyes and imagine it following your breath. When you breathe in, picture it balling up inside your stomach. Breathing out, imagine it leaving through your nose and mouth. You only have to practice it a few minutes to get the hang of it. Do this during foreplay and while you're fucking. I completely lose control when a woman talks dirty. When I can't handle it anymore, I switch it up. 4 sharp breaths in, then 4 sharp breaths out. This exercise has a numbing effect on the head of the penis. I save it for DEFCON, going to come right now moments. The most critical time is when you first put it in. Go slow with your dick pointing down toward her back. Stop. Breathe, move the energy from your balls to your stomach, then out through your nose. Move slow and keep the tip pointed down. She wants it pointed towards her belly button to hit her G-spot, but that will make you come. Pointing down towards her spine allows the tip to move but not rub against the walls. Keep breathing until the energy dissipates. You might have to spend a few minutes doing this, but once you breathe it all out, you're free to fuck properly. When you're calm and confident that you won't come without warning, run your fingertips over her body from her shoulders down. It doesn't matter what position you're in. This lets her know you're present with her. It also lets you know where she likes to be touched. Pay attention to her. If she breathes in or squirms when your fingertips graze a certain part of her, keep going, but remember where it's at. When you change positions or need to stop thrusting, give that spot lip service with light kisses. Don't go straight for it. Pick a spot about a foot below it. Wet your lips and connect the dots with small kisses. If she's into rougher, more passionate sex, then kiss it followed with a soft bite. Never, ever go straight to a certain spot with a woman. If you're going down on her, start at the belly button or mid-thigh. To kiss her lips or ear, start at the shoulder blades or the center of her chest. Be a generous lover and pay attention to her body's cues while paying attention to your breathing. Your breath will feel good on her skin and you'll be in control of your own. Performance anxiety causes premature ejaculation. So, as with any anxiety, it is controlled through air and blood circulation. Focusing on her body and your breath takes the focus off your dick. If your dick is acting like it's never been there before and you're too sensitive to thrust without coming, then pull out slowly with your dick pointed towards your back from the inside. Squeeze the base with your forefinger and thumb and breathe deep. I mean really deep. Don't let your other hand leave her body. Maintain a connection. Tell her you need a break and be honest. She'll know if you're lying and you look insecure, so tell her. Not exactly like, I can't control myself, but damn, you're wet. You feel so good wrapped around my dick. From there, go back to where you started. If you need more than 30 seconds, go down on her or change positions. Do not stop the flow for too long, or her energy will dissipate too. Remember, premature ejaculation is a breathing problem, not a penis dysfunction. Let time stand still, be in the moment, and enjoy every second. Your dick will chill when you do. I have very rarely, with the exception of whiskey dick, not felt like coming in the first 30 seconds of sex. I love sex. I love women. I love to come and make her come. I'm always excited, sometimes a little too much, but the key is to act like you've been there before, and by all means, breathe. Chapter 10. Purpose, the ultimate aphrodisiac. It is your work in life that is the ultimate seduction. Pablo Picasso. I was a reservist and deployed to Iraq at 22 years old. I spent 16 months in the dirt being called Specialist Platypus. This nickname was meant to be a compliment, but it got old pretty fast, and I still cringe when it's brought up. How did one earn such a ridiculous moniker? I earned it by having sex with 9 women in 7 days. I'm not bragging about this, nor am I ashamed of it. The experience was amazing, but unintentional. I'm grateful for it because it taught me something I could not have learned any other way. My reserve unit was scheduled to deploy, but got held back due to logistical reasons. Our company was bused to a hotel and told to stand by. We stood by for a week until the buses came back to take us to the airport, but that week was a crazy freaking week. We were young men, terrified, excited, anxious. Name the emotion and we had it. Not to mention hyperinflated egos and ridiculous levels of testosterone fueled by the not give a fucks you get when you're on your way to war. The hotel was a short cab ride away from the Strip. The Strip was a mile and a half of bars, clubs, and pubs. We had money, nothing to spend it on, and a week to kill. Every day at 1700 we were dismissed from formation in the parking lot, allowed to change into civilian attire, and do whatever we wanted as long as we didn't get arrested. All truth told, we fucked up the Strip. At least 50 of us were there every night, and we drank until we got kicked out. I had a group of 4 friends. We were close and had a good time wherever we went. The first night on the Strip, we walked into the bar, and an hour later I was in a cab back to the hotel with my fingers knuckle deep in a brunette. We had sex. Her friend picked her up, and I caught a lift from her back downtown. That night, I had the pleasure of a second guest who enjoyed the continental breakfast with me before catching a cab home. The week continued in such a fashion, and so does my ridiculous nickname. When I was in the Army, I was living my dream. I had wanted to be a soldier and go to war since I was in diapers. It was my purpose. I was living my purpose with passion and a zeal that exuberated from me. There's nothing sexier to a woman than a man who lives with purpose and passion. When you are living your purpose, there is an aura around you that attracts people. I personally believe it is polarity because the majority of people have no purpose and opposites attract. People smarter than me, however, call it charisma. Charisma is magnetic because it places you at the top of the present social hierarchy. I would consider this to be a fluke if it didn't happen twice. After returning home from Iraq, I put my GI Bill to work and went to school. I was working full-time as a tradesman and doing schoolwork until midnight. My boss let me stay in the office and use the computer. He got used to finding me asleep at the desk in the morning. He would wake me up and I'd wash my face in the restroom and start my shift. I did this for 2 years nonstop. He called me into the office one day and told me that he was retiring and I could buy the business from him if I was ready. I wasn't ready. I didn't have savings or a contractor's license. He agreed to take payments on it with interest, but I had to be ready in 3 months. I was a month away from my associates in business and doubled up my studies to prepare for my contractor's license. In the 3 months to follow, I did not sleep. I worked 8 to 5, studied 5 to 12, and had 2 women who knew each other taking turns staying the night at my apartment. My contractor's license certificate and AA came in the mail on the same day. Nobody stayed the night that night. I congratulated myself by sitting alone at home with a pizza and called in sick the next day to sleep in. A week later, I was a broke entrepreneur working 16 hours a day trying to figure out how to run a business. Women would show up at the office unexpectedly to visit. I had to get a second phone for work because mine never stopped ringing, and a few months later, I met the woman I'm still with, and she's fucking amazing. I am not a stud. I'm a fucking dork. Women love a man on a mission, and I don't blame them. I get bro crushes for dudes like that. It's an awesome place to be in life. Not sustainable if sanity is a life goal, but sexy as hell. Purpose and charisma are powerful. Women will find you if you are on a mission, and the reason is underlying. A man on a mission is not looking for women or sex. When I went to the Strip, I had no intentions other than to have a good time with my friends and blow off steam. I didn't approach a single woman. When I was on Mission 90-Day Entrepreneur, I was not looking for women or sex. I would hide from these women so I could catch up on sleep. Basically, if you want women to chase you, chase your goals, and relentlessly pursue your dreams, mediocre, boring men are Googling women every time they leave their house. She'll notice the one who's not. You can't advertise this. Trying to broadcast your charisma kills it. It's a natural swagger. Therefore, it can't be faked. You have to do it and love it. It doesn't matter what it is. All that matters is that you do it wholeheartedly. This concept is difficult to grasp until you've experienced it. From the outside looking in, it seems like she's with him for his money or social status. At times, that might be the case, but more often than not, he's a man who knows what he wants and does what he has to do to get it. Money is a byproduct of purpose. A woman sees this man differently than other men. It's not what he has, but what he doesn't have. He doesn't have game and refuses to live a bullshit life. Be well, my friends. I wish you all the sex, love, and happiness you desire. Always be honest, always be present with her, and always be you. This has been Raw Attraction, Attractor with Honesty, Fucker with Presence. Written by Michael S. Chapman. Narrated by Timothy G. Little. Copyright 2020 by Shane Chapa. Production copyright by Shane Chapa.